Just finished reading Karen Hao's Empire of AI, and it was very interesting to me because I believe that the future of tech companies that have so much power and impact on the world should be mission led. And reading that book, the topic of mission is mentioned over and over again. I searched on Kindle for the word mission to see how many times it appeared, and it's 90 times. Like detecting the 11 times that it appears in the index at the end, it's still 79 times that the mission word appears. So if you truly believe that the future of tech companies that have this impact on people's lives all over the world should be driven by a mission that has positive impacts on humanity, then this is a good cautionary tale of where you can deviate from the mission that you initially said you would be pursuing. So it seems that OpenAI started with this mission, this very pure mission to benefit humanity via its research on AGI. But somewhere along the way, it started facing some pressures, namely like financial pressures, that made it think about ways of commercializing that technology more than the exploratory side of research. And I think that that is where the company really started deviating, because they saw with the release of ChatGPT what a very important commercial success they were able to obtain with their applied research. And I think that's when they got hooked on the commercialization and the money to fund those pursuits. And it's all tied together because investors will fund things they see they will get their returns, and like exploratory R&D has much lower probabilities of returns than like immediate ChatGPT commercialization type. So when you get hooked to that kind of philosophy, I think that's when it starts being very difficult to pursue a mission that aims to benefit humanity, because the things that generate money do not necessarily benefit humanity. So trying to apply the lessons from this book going forward, I think you should be very explicit on this separation between exploratory research and applied research or commercial research. And I think this is made very tangible by the frictions they had between the Department of Applied Research and the departments that devoted themselves for like exploratory research. The book describes this immense friction between these two departments. And if you have ever worked in tech, in things that involve researchers, I'm sure you were able to experiment this tension between advancing the science versus advancing the commercial side of it. But in between advancing the science and advancing the profits from applying it, there are people, and people that are more than consumers, people that are citizens and human beings. So human beings are often neglected in the face of these two pressures: the pressures of being seen as clients, or the pressures of being guinea pigs on this scientific developments. So if your purpose is to serve the citizens, the human beings, then you must be aware that neither of these pressures directly defends the interests of human beings. Solving a user or a client need is very different than really addressing a human being's underlying problems. And also, solving an abstract scientific problem is very different than solving a problem that is very concrete and that you can see in the world already. And I think also this expresses itself in the debates of very far remote fiction level dangers of AI versus very current concrete dangers of AI. So the biggest lesson from this book is that we start looking at what tech companies do versus what they say they do. In the future in which tech companies have this much power and impact, it's not enough just to hear what they claim to be pursuing, but we need to know what they are really pursuing. In other words, listening to what tech companies say about themselves will give you the explicit mission, but seeing and analyzing what tech companies do will give you their real mission. And that's the mission we really care about. Take care.